I envision a world where every man, every woman, and every child is checked for subluxation and adjusted when necessary, from birth to burial, from conception to coffin, and from the womb to the tomb. Anybody else? Yes? Imagine what every community in this world would look like if they had a Sharon Gorman, if they had a Jim DeBell, if they had a Jay Hant, if they had a Jenna Boshever, if they had a Tony DeMarco. I am so thankful that I was here yesterday to watch that, because Tony, where are you? Where is he? Where are you sitting? To watch your peers, your colleagues, but most importantly, your family get up and honor you yesterday, that's a life well lived. And that's a role model that I think every one of us, if you were in that room yesterday, you aspire to be just like that. So thank you for all you've done and all you continue to do. And to Jim and Babs, for what you've done, not just for New Beginnings, but what you've done for women in chiropractic, because there's a lot of lip service about we support women in chiropractic. You mean it. You've put women on your stage consistently, given them the opportunity to grow. You've helped to foster this movement of women, so we thank you. And as a board member of the League of Chiropractic Women, can the other board members please stand up? Kim, our president, Patty, Selena, Sharon, our past president, Lisa in the back. These women, along with all of our board members, all of our members who have been involved with the League of Chiropractic Women since its inception and to today, thank you for what you're doing, because you're helping women to come together, to support and to thrive, successful in their practices. Thank you to them. And to those of you who are not yet a member of the LCW, we welcome you to join us, because one of the things that was mentioned yesterday, and I will repeat it, is that there are so many women in chiropractic that aren't just DCs, but there are spouses, there are students, there are our CAs. These are the team who help to propel chiropractic. And the women are going to help take us in a new direction. So I want to thank you for everything that you've been doing, and I want to assure you that we are in good hands. Our profession is in good hands, because together we're going to help this profession rise to its rightful place as leaders. And Jenna just asked you, how many of you feel like a leader? And it was nice to see every hand go up, because we are the leaders. We're the leaders that the people need. And you know why we're the leaders? Because of these three right here. These three. You know, we all refer to Dee Dee as the discoverer, BJ as the developer, and Dr. Sid, my mentor, the person who gave me my life, gave me my profession, gave me my marriage, gave me my children, because of what he taught me to believe about myself, the defender, and we owe it to them, because we right here, we are the distributors. It is up to us to take this message outside of this beautiful room with these wonderful faces and these four walls where this message has been shared for 30 years, and to bring it out to the masses. Because like Lisa said yesterday, she's teaching her Keto Summit, but you know what? She's teaching it to the public who is learning about chiropractic. When we were doing educated pregnancy at its height, we were teaching the public how to have a healthy pregnancy, better birth outcome, and a natural parenthood. And you know what they learned? They learned chiropractic. But I look out at this storm all night long that kept many of you awake. I know it kept me awake because we had a beautiful room facing the ocean. And I look at this storm and I'm reminded that no one can anchor to an unanchored mind. I don't know how many times I heard Dr. Sid say that. No one can anchor to an unanchored mind. And I will tell you, when my son was about 2 and my baby girl was just a baby girl, we were out on the boat one day and a storm was coming. And we were out there with a bunch of friends and we were all tied up and anchored out. And there was a tornado coming to the lake where we were at. And a lot of our friends had docks that were close by, so they took off. But we had a newborn baby and a 2-year-old, and our dock was really far. So I jumped up on the front of the boat. I threw the front anchor out. My husband went to the back. He threw the rear anchor out. And we just anchored down, went in the cabin, and we stayed. And we had no idea what the storm was that was coming. We just knew that it was starting to get pretty rough. And when we came, the campground that was right outside where we were was gone. A full-on tornado hit the cove where we were. And we never wavered, because we were so anchored that we knew we would be safe. We trusted in the process. We were rock solid in our conviction. And I ask you, How many of you are that rock solid? Because the reality of our world is any port in a storm. Any port in a storm. And that will happen to your community, and that has happened to your patients, where they will go running to any port in a storm because they don't know you're the answer. You know why they don't know you're the answer? Because we failed to educate them. Because we failed to open their mouths. Because we failed to get out of our comfort zone and teach people about what it is we do and how it can impact their lives. Not just their pain, not just their headaches, but their lives. Like Emily, who came to us and had been adjusted by chiropractors before. But when she was a young girl of just 10 years old, she was sitting on a swing, little rope swing, and the rope broke and she went crashing down to the ground. And this is the scoliosis she developed. Now, I know what you're thinking when you're looking at there. You're thinking there's a typo on that, isn't there? But I assure you that's not a typo. Because that, right there, that scoliosis, Emily was told her whole life that she was that label. What's that label? She was infertile. She'll never be able to have kids because of that. And she was told that if she were to have kids, it would probably kill her or paralyze her because of that. That label that she wore on her back, that label she was given by the medical profession. But she came into our office and she got adjusted repeatedly. Not once, not twice, not just to get rid of the back pain, but she came in to get adjusted because she trusted that there was an innate intelligence in her body that would help her function at her best level when the interference was removed. And so up there you see that that was Natalie's first subluxation, because after several years under care, Natalie was born, right? So when did that subluxation first occur? When Emily fell, when the swing broke, when the scoliosis developed, and every monthly cycle that went by from 10 years old till the day Natalie was born. See, we fail to understand that what happens in people's lives stays there and continues to stay there, continues to create problems that may or may not present as symptoms, but if they're underlying, like in Emily, then the problem just continues to dig deeper and grow roots and grow down and make more problems in their body and in their life and in her mind. But yet after chiropractic care, when Natalie was born, we didn't stop there, because now Emily comes in every week with all three of her children. And so for Emily, she didn't run to any port in a storm. She trusted in her body. She was anchored. How many of your patients have that much conviction? Because I assure you, most of your patients, they are not convicted about what their body is capable of doing. They're in fear of their body's inabilities. They've been labeled with terms that they carry around like a chain around their neck. But when you get this concept that the first subluxation doesn't always occur at birth, it doesn't always occur in the womb. And sometimes it occurs many, many years prior to conception, because the research shows that a man's nutrition prior to conception alters both the quantity and quality of his sperm. And that's his nutrition. What about a subluxation? What if he's subluxated and it's affecting his brain, his body's ability to communicate, the nerves, the hormones that are flooding through his body for years? What type of sperm is he producing? Can we say probably less than optimal? Can we agree on that? And if the woman herself, subluxated, decides it's time to start a family, what type of egg and what type of environment is she creating for that baby? Can we say less than optimal? I believe that we can. So when you get that concept, it can change everything if you allow it to, because when I talk to the teenagers who've been coming in since they were little babies, I remind them, when you grow up and you move out of the house, you keep getting adjusted. I don't care where you live, I'll find you a chiropractor. You know what? Because someday you're going to want to start a family. And you and your spouse need to be under chiropractic care so that you have the best chance of having healthy families. Plant that seed now. Don't wait until they're pregnant. Don't wait until they're about to push to tell them about having a natural birth. Start planting that seed now. And I can tell you that by planting those seeds, we've helped so many patients have families that were labeled. I don't like the term infertile. I like it to be called a fertility challenge, because a challenge is something that's meant to overcome. So I just want to give anybody who would like to give a talk in their community, this is a PowerPoint that we use to help people understand a natural approach to fertility challenges. You're welcome to it. It's my gift to the family because I'm so thankful to be here and be included with you. And because I want you to go out and make an impact. I want you to make a change because I know what it feels like to want something so desperately that you're not having, that you can't seem to get. When you're able to get other patients pregnant under your care, and month after month after month goes by, I know what that feels like, and I never want anybody to experience that. So while my practice is not a pediatric practice, it is a family practice, we help a lot of people have families. How many of you want more families in your practice? Just a few? If you want more families in your practice, you have to understand who makes the decisions for their health care. Who is it? It's the mom. And so there's been a lot of talk this weekend, and I'm so thrilled to be here because there's been a lot of talk from the women and about the women. And the reality is this: moms make the healthcare decisions in most families. And if we're not communicating into their value systems, we don't get those families under lifetime care. When we learn to communicate in a manner that they can connect with and remain engaged with, they remain engaged with your office. So learn how to speak into their needs. Learn what their concerns are. If your ideal patient is a family that's running from sports activity to after school activity and dropping the kids off and meeting them there and picking them up and exchanging cars at your office, if that's your ideal practice member, then you need to understand what their needs are. Do they want to keep their kids healthy for the long run? Of course. Do they want to make sure their kids are able to participate in sports? Yes. Do they want to make sure their kids have a good attitude and succeed in school? Yes. So are you tailoring your conversation so that it meets their needs and makes them feel like this is the place for their family? When you start doing that, you take people from a point of attraction through education and into retention because they stop just being attracted for their pain, which never lasts. They stay long enough to get educated about what it is you do and how it can benefit their family, and then they retain in your office as patients because now they get that it's about them. And so that's one of the big things that I always try to help people understand. If you speak into someone's value system, you have a better chance of keeping them engaged in your office because of this. If you've ever experienced the joy of a patient who walks in and says, I'm pregnant, when they were told that they would never be able to carry a child, and I can tell you we've been blessed with that so many times, stories that are just amazing. People have come in pregnant with twins after mom and dad were both diagnosed, right? Amazing stories. If you've been blessed with those stories and that becomes your why, you don't have to know every script. You don't have to know every word. You don't have to always know what to say. But when the why is so clear, the how becomes evident. When the why is to help more people live a better life, when the why is to help more families become families, right? When the why is to help people express their fullest potential, the how becomes evident. And sometimes we are the block to that. Sometimes we have to take ourselves out of the way to allow people to truly experience all that chiropractic has to offer, because some of us have our own limiting beliefs about what chiropractic is and who it can help and how much it can help them. And so we fall in line with their limiting beliefs and we almost agree with them. We reinforce it. We let them believe those lies that they've been told over and over again because we don't stand up and say, wait a minute, hang on, your body's smarter than that. Your body's more capable of that. Your body is beautiful, and this can become your reality. Because the reality is, if you don't do it, and you have families that are suffering in your community, any port in a storm. Because that's the storm they're living in. And they will seek any port in a storm. They will run to the medical profession. They will take their child who has a viral ear infection to a pediatrician and be given an antibiotic. They will take their child who's fussy and fidgety in class to get them labeled as ADD, ADHD, because they don't know that you're a solution. See, we don't have the ability to keep our mouths shut anymore because too many people are sick, suffering, and dying in your communities. And when we want to make a change, then it's time for us to open our mind. I put this picture up because a lot of you have asked. And I want to thank Neil for sharing your story yesterday, if you're in the room. And I just want to tell you that thoughts and prayers are with you and Sarah and Randy. And so many of you have come and asked about my father, and it's been a rough road for the past few years with my dad. He had a heart attack a couple years ago, quintuple bypass, and the only answer I can say is when you lift the hood, you get dirt in the engine. It never works the same way. So my parents were supposed to be here this weekend, but my father had another heart attack last week. And it's so hard because I watched this man who's a lumberjack. I mean, he built my office. I've got a 9,000 square foot building in Atlanta. My father, with one helper, built my office. Okay? This guy is massive. I mean, 6'4", hands like baseball mitts. I used to scratch him as a kid. And he spent 6 weeks in the hospital over Christmas with nurses telling him every day, Charlie, don't lift your arm. Charlie, you can't walk to the bathroom. Charlie, don't do this. Charlie, you can't do that. My father left that hospital as a shell of the man that he is, thinking he can't pick up a case of water. This is the guy who would throw 2 bales of roofing shingles on his shoulder and climb a ladder. And yet he would hesitate to pick up a water bottle, let alone a case of water, because they got into his mind and they told him how incapable he was. They told him how weak he was. They told him all the things he couldn't do, and they took away his hope. And when they finally said after 6 weeks, okay, you can go home, not one person said to him, you're better now. You're stronger now. You can walk now. You can go upstairs. You can raise your arms. No, they left him with the thought that he couldn't, that he can't, that he won't, that he shouldn't, that it puts him at risk. And you know what we do? We give people hope. We give people hope. And we only can give them the hope that they need when we're confident, when we're convicted, when we come from a place of authority that I know, when I remove the interference to your bones, to your nervous system, when your body starts to function at its best level, health is the only obvious outcome. But if you're not convicted in that, and you say, well, I don't know, well, maybe, we'll see, I don't know, then you're just as bad as the people who told my dad, don't lift your arm. We have to be so solid in our conviction. We have to speak with authority, and we have to be anchored to the truth that when I move the bone, God does the healing. And when you're that anchored in that truth, then you learn how to teach people what we do. Because the truth is, so many of us do a disservice. We take people to the edge of the water, and we never teach them how to swim. We say, I can help you if you need me. Need a chiropractor, give me a call. But we never go out there, some of us, through our fear, through the nervousness that somebody might think we're crazy, through the hesitation that's been put on us that, oh, that might be interfering if I say something. Some of us never get to that point of going out there and telling people, I can help you in my office. Let's schedule it for today. Right? Because we can't fully help them if we can't educate them and we can't get them into our office. So the only thing I'm going to ask for you today is that, I'm going to skip this because this is way more important. Yesterday, Lyle stood up here with a $100 bill and he said, how many of you would do whatever it takes to get this? And this little boy was in the back room jumping up and down, but out of fear of doing the wrong thing, he didn't run up here. And then felt that, you know what I'm talking about? When you see that person in the grocery store that you know needs your help, and you're like, I know I can help them. And then you don't open your mouth and you don't say something. And then that, I should have. He felt that I should have last night. And one of the other speakers, Sean, came up to him and said, you missed an opportunity. Don't ever let it happen again. And handed Anthony the $100. You don't always get that opportunity. Sometimes you see people in a grocery store that need your help desperately, and you're the only one that can help them. And if you don't get out of your own way and help them, you send them up the river. Sometimes you're going to see somebody that comes into your office one time, that they come for something, and you're afraid to talk about what they really should be there for. And they leave your office, and you spend the rest of your life going, I should have said something. Sometimes it's the child of a patient who you know needs your care, but out of fear, we don't say anything, and we spend the rest of our lives going, I should have. I wish I would have said something to that mother. I should have said something about what they're doing to their child. I should have stopped them from taking them to the pediatrician and said, let me adjust that child with the ear infection. Because when we don't and we watch the outcomes, that regret is too much to bear. And I know you don't want that on your soul, and I don't want it on mine anymore. So sometimes the work to be successful is a little bit scary. It's a lot of bit tough. It comes with consequences, but the consequences of not doing the work are far too great, and your community needs you so desperately. I challenge you, please, when you go home, take everything you learned this weekend, take everyone who poured into your heart, let it propel you, let it push you, let it motivate you, let it inspire you, let it give you the confidence so that you do what you know needs to be done and you say what you know in your heart you need to say so that together we can truly change the world. I love and appreciate you.
Cathy, Wendland, Colby.